How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to bring you something a little bit different. I just bought Monster Hunter World the other day, and I am enjoying the shit out of this game. It is absolutely awesome. So I thought I'd share some gameplay here with you today. Now, obviously my channel is more focused on the Dark Souls games, so don't be afraid, guys. I'm not moving away from Dark Souls, but I will be supplementing my Dark Souls clips with a bit of Monster Hunter. So basically what you're seeing here is me having a meal before going out on a hunt. You do get some bonuses when you do get some when you eat, essentially. So a bit of health and stamina bonus there, for example, and these carry over into the mission proper. But you can also get a meal in the camp just before you go out on the hunt anyway, when you're in the mission map. But essentially in this mission, my cousin and I needed to hunt a Paolumu monster. And basically how it starts out is you track the monster essentially on the map by its tracks and stuff, and you know, shit it leaves behind, I guess, you know, mucus, whatever. And you start tracking the monster until you find it. Now I'm playing with the hammer class weapon here, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about the hammer class weapon as well. But what I will say is I'm a complete noob to this game, so I'm still learning. So yeah, you are going to see me fumble around a little bit here, getting used to the hammer essentially, and I'll be able to provide some more in-depth guides for using the hammer later down the track when I'm actually good with it. Now initially when we were hunting this monster, I think my cousin over there, he hit a toad that actually has this sort of like sleep powder. So we all pretty much fell asleep at the start of the battle here, guys, because of that, that toad there, which I thought was pretty funny, so I thought I'd include it in the clip. But essentially, from what I've gathered so far, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section please, guys, because like I said, I am really new to the Monster Hunter series, so I don't know everything, you know, proper yet. But with the hammer class weapon, it focuses on blunt damage, and blunt damage is especially effective when hitting monsters in their heads. But I've also noticed that the hammer is really good at hitting monsters in other weak areas, and also for taking parts off them. I did notice, for example, when I was fighting a Barroth in a previous hunt, I was knocking a lot of parts out of it previously using the hammer, so I think it might be good at that as well. But primarily you'll be trying to focus on hitting monsters in the head, so if you are playing multiplayer with your friends, try and get your friends to stun the monster so you can get some good shots into the head, or try and use you know, headshots essentially with your hammer when you are charging your attacks with it. So yeah, one thing I noticed with the Paolumu here is it flies around, which is a bit annoying. It's a bit hard to target, especially with a close range weapon that's pretty slow. But I noticed that you can get stuff like flash bombs and other items that you can use to, you know, blind your monsters or to ground them. Something I hadn't used yet in this particular mission, but I found out a little bit later. And if your partner is using like a ranged weapon, I suppose it'd be a lot easier for them as well to ground these flying monsters for you to hit them. But yeah, essentially here we just took the opportunity to kill some of the smaller ones to you know, hunt for some parts essentially. Little bit of exploration, never hurt anyone. So yeah, so basically with the hammer class weapon, guys, you'll be focusing on charging your hammer. What I try and do is I try and keep my hammer always in the white charge mode, essentially because you deal more damage, I think. But you can also charge it, you know, 3 times over, basically, so you can get your charge attacks. They're all pretty different, and they're also dependent on movement. So for example, the level 3 charge attack with the hammer is different when you're moving around as opposed to when you're standing still. When you're moving around, you sort of spin around with the hammer around you, sort of thing. And when you're standing still, it's sort of like a focused hammer attack in front of you, which is pretty cool. And basically what I've noticed here as well, and don't quote me on this because I haven't done extensive testing on it, but I have noticed that when you do have the hammer in charge mode and you are going through your special attacks or your special combos, I have been able to hyper armor through some certain enemy types, or enemy attack types I should say. But don't quote me on that because I haven't tested it extensively yet. Obviously I'm just playing around with the hammer and getting used to its combos. But I did notice on a couple of occasions I was able to hyper armor through certain monster attacks when I had the charge on, the white charge on, and while I was in the middle of a special combo. But like I said, guys, once I get good with the hammer and I actually know how to articulate these things a little bit better, you know, in terms of which combos are what, and you know, what charge hyper armor, you know how much hyper armor you get, for example, against whatever certain monster attacks. I'll be able to make a more detailed guide later down the track about how to use this weapon properly. I mean, I only got this game a couple of days ago, so I'm pretty much a noob. And the only previous experience I had with the Monster Hunter series was Monster Hunter Tri, which I had on the Wii. But to be honest, I didn't play it that much. I couldn't get into it for some reason. I thought it was a bit of a grind, but this one is absolutely awesome. So yeah, if you enjoy this type of game, guys, I do recommend it. It is a lot of fun, especially in multiplayer. If you have a few friends that you can go out with on hunts with, I do recommend this game. It is awesome. And here's something interesting. You'll notice how I tried to go into my combo, but I was interrupted. It seems to be like there must be some sort of friendly fire thing going on, where you don't actually receive damage from your partner's attacks, but your partner can actually interrupt your combos if he's too close to you with his own weapon. So keep that in mind when you are hunting together. Oh, and that was one of the hammer combos there, guys. It was a charge 3 stationary hammer combo, which is awesome. And that was just the triple Y combo there just then, but I try and always do it with the white charge on for a bit of extra damage, which is what you see me do there to power it up. But yeah, guys, keep an eye on that on your weapon. If you guys are attacking a monster together using big weapons, you probably want to stay on opposite sides of the monster, just because you might accidentally hit each other and interrupt your combos. Yeah, got some decent neck shots there. It's a bit hard to get headshots on monsters that are so mobile. Some of the bigger, fatter monsters with bigger heads are a lot easier to target with the hammer. But I mean, in saying that, this was a very early game for me, so I hadn't figured out yet that you can use stuff like flash bombs and shit to ground monsters a little bit easier, so that's something I'll be keeping in mind in future. That was the monster's growl there. As you can see, the growl sort of stuns you for a bit, and the monster ran off now. So you've got to continue the hunt. Alrighty, so we tracked this bastard down into, looks like this, you know, ravine-looking area, I guess. I don't know, this whole place looks like a coral reef. It's called the Coral Highlands, but you know, you're not actually underwater. Ooh, got hit by the tail. Couple of good shots there with the hammer. And you'll notice how my hammer has that white aura around it. That's what I call a charge. I try and always keep it charged to deal more damage. Another nice little combo there. But yeah, like I said, guys, when I actually get good at this game and I know how to articulate everything I'm talking about a little bit better, I'll make a proper guide for this weapon as well. And I'll also talk about build setups, because what I've learned so far, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, the way you build builds, or you make builds in this game, is to do with armor combinations that work in conjunction with your weapons. So for example, my weapon here has some fire damage stats, so I'm trying to get Anjanath armor that supports that with its fire passive stats, just to increase my fire crit damage and shit like that. But you know, I'll explore that a little bit more in depth, you know, when I actually figure out the mechanics a little bit better. Oof. Knocked me down there, the bastard. Another thing, guys, you have to sharpen your weapon fairly often. You'll see this little, on the left, top left, you saw this little sort of sword icon that charged up there. It went all green. When that gets low, your weapon actually loses sharpness and you do less damage to monsters. So keep an eye on that meter, guys. As a new player, I didn't actually notice that until a little bit into the game. I was like, why am I doing enough damage here? So yeah, you got to sharpen your weapon there when that gets low to always do the most amount of damage. Alright guys, and lastly, I will say that capturing monsters is better than hunting them. As you can see here, our monster's asleep, so my cousin dropped a shock trap and he's now throwing some sleep bombs on it so we can capture it. I've noticed that if you capture instead of kill a monster, you actually get more items from it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but in every instance so far, capturing monsters, I've gotten way more items and a couple of rarer items actually than actually killing it instead. Hope you enjoyed!